Hi, I'm Jana Spindler, registered dietitian with Health Stand Nutrition, and I'm joined here with our resident ADHD expert, Andrea Holwegner.
And of course, we're here with Princess Leia because, who doesn't want to see a little bobblehead on our session today? Having a little fun
Oh,
talking about ADHD. So we got to have a little bit of distraction here because it's
abs-
part of the whole vibe.
of course. Yes, today we're going to talk lots about how we manage appetite and ADHD medications for sure. And one of the biggest things that we see is really starting with the explanation of how does this medication impact appetite? So we know that the medication acts as a bit of a bell curve while it's in the system, and that appetite almost does the reverse bell curve. So when the
Mhm.
medication's at its peak,
Yeah.
our appetite's at its lowest for a lot of our individuals. So Andrea, with clients and individuals you've worked with, how do you manage this?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because, of course, coming from a family of ADHD and many clients with neurodiverse brains, that stimulant medication is so helpful for focus, but we know it just conks appetite, and that's going to show up particularly around lunch.
Mm.
So, a couple of the key things to keep in mind is breakfast time, really, really important to load up as much breakfast, some high protein there, good
Okay.
carbohydrate for the brain before that medication goes into the system. This is when we're probably going to be the most hungriest.
Okay.
So tricky if you're not a morning person, but a little bit earlier wake up so we can build that appetite before that medication comes in there and hijacks hunger can be really
Mm.
important. So that's tip number one. Second
Okay.
is we know that lunchtime is going to be a struggle at school and work. Appetite is at its lowest because the bell curve of that stimulant med coming in is at the highest, as you said.
Hmm.
So here's where we're going to look for kids' favorites, adults' favorites. We're not going to probably sneak in their least favorite items or the least dense calorie based items. So I would say we're less worried about things like vegetables here. We're just trying to get in solid, good calories, some protein, and whether that's
Okay.
coming in a smoothie and a thermos of some sort, in energy bites, in
Mm.
whatever you can get in that's a favorite is going to be most important there.
Okay. So those really big favorites, the most, it sounds like just really dense foods.
Dense foods.
Dense foods coming in. So not the time to pick on veggies, not the time to worry about veggies.
Up later.
Yeah.
So parents, don't freak. We'll pick them up later.
We'll get them later, we promise. The other thing we see, I know I've seen in a ton of my clients, is that after school hunger kicks in, after work hunger kicks in. And a lot of us go, oh, but it's almost dinner. Why are we eating so much right now? And it's because we need to,
Yeah.
right? So we've really not maybe been able to keep up with the energy needs because appetite's been low during the day. So then we really plan for that like meal-like snack right after school or
Yeah.
right after work. And this is totally okay, right? So we're going to have that meal-like snack that really starts to catch up on our energy needs. And then we're still going to focus on dinner,
Mhm.
right? So in those big appetite times, that's when those veggies might be a little bit easier to get in.
Absolutely. So after school is a great time to get some of those veggies in. A little bit of protein there again to coast
Mm,
them around up until dinner time. Space that dinner meal out if you can by
mm,
at least an hour or two to, again, to build up a little bit of hunger.
okay.
And then the biggest thing that I see so many parents freak out about is in the evening, their kid has now eaten dinner. And an hour later, they're back saying they're starving. And parents will say, you should have eaten more dinner. Really, at the end of the day, this is going to be an important meal to catch up for whatever that low sort of energy needs were early in the day. So don't be surprised if a large snack needs to come in at bed. It's okay. It's what we need. That's when our intuitive hunger is finally back
Mm,
because the medication's coming out of our system. So
oh,
just plan
beautiful.
for a extra large evening snack, especially for
Okay,
most growing kiddos.
fair. And do you see it with the adults too?
You
That
know,
need?
the tricky thing with the adults is, of course, there's so much noise and food shame around eating at night. People have all these kind of rules. And at the end of the day, if you look at your intake and if three-quarters of your intake didn't come in by, let's say, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's probably because you're actually really needing some more food there. And so you need to allow yourself permission to eat.
Okay, beautiful. I think that's huge for our, yes, to know about the kiddos, but also for our adults to hear.
Absolutely.
And so the other big thing we look at is, okay, so that during the day and making food appetizing, the biggest tips that we've talked about
Mhm.
is let's try to get that person involved. So whether it's a kiddo or it is an adult or an adolescent or whoever in your family or who you're supporting, but getting them involved in those food choices ahead of time
Yep.
is really important. So giving those, maybe taking them to the grocery store, giving them ideas, creating lists of things that they might really like, so that during the day, those packing foods and snacks, but also that after school, hey, here's the ideas. So we're not stuck in that decision making, right?
Absolutely, because the ADHD underfueled brain will impulsively go for whatever is convenient. So if we plan a little bit ahead, this is going to be a good thing. So Princess Leia, bobblehead, same sort of scenario here. We're going to plan to take her off of the screen. Just a little bit of fun.
Perfect.
Thanks for joining us to chat about ADHD nutrition. We'll be back next time for the Jana and Andrea show, talking about nutrition and mental health.
Perfect.